Welcome to the Dreamspace Dispatch, a creative sanctuary for stories, reflection, and quiet resistance. I'm Nicole Myers, also writing under the pen name Astrid Satterley, and this is where I read, reflect, and talk through the kinds of things that don't always fit neatly into an algorithm. Sometimes it's a poem, sometimes it's a lyrical essay, sometimes it's just me thinking out loud about what it means to live, write, and create inside a world that often feels like too much. So settle in, the lantern's lit, let's begin. Today's episode is called Freelancer, Writer, Human, because sometimes those hats are all stacked at once on our heads like a wonky birthday cake, and other times it's hard to tell where one role ends and the next begins. This episode was inspired by a few real-life moments that gently reminded me a lot of people still don't quite understand what I do or just how much work goes into this path that I've chosen. Like when a family member visited midweek and couldn't quite wrap her head around the fact that, yes, I am working from home, but I am still working. Or another person in my life who assumed I wasn't keeping up with breaking news because I didn't post the updates fast enough on social media. I had to remind her, I'm not a newswire. I'm a freelance writer, a human one. So today, we're going to talk about what those three words mean. Freelance, writer, human, and how they intersect, collide, and coexist on paper, online, and in our day-to-day lives. Let's start with the first title, Freelancer. Being a freelancer is a one-woman show in my case. I wear every hat, scout, scheduler, strategist, and writer. I look for jobs. I update my portfolios. I post on social media to be seen. Then I get a project and I read the brief, gather the requirements, and shape their vision into something real. I write. I revise. I check for SEO. I fact-check, proofread, polish, and after all that, I let it go. Even if it's ghostwritten, even if no one knows I wrote it, those are still my words. They matter. Now, writer with a capital W, when I'm writing for me. This is where the sparks come in, the dreamy stuff. There's no client, no brief, just the idea that catches fire in my chest, and that's both exhilarating and terrifying because it's all mine. I don't get paid up front. I don't know who will read it. I don't know if anyone will read it at all, but I do it anyway, because it's how I breathe. And then there's human, the person who cooks, does laundry, pays bills, and walks the dog, who tries to sleep enough, drink water, stretch, and care for their whole self, because if I don't take care of the human, the writer and the freelancer don't get very far. So how do I manage all three? The answer? Boundaries. I work a set schedule, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I don't answer client messages on weekends or holidays, and I don't check proposals at midnight. I treat myself like I'm running a good business that actually cares about its employee. Me. That's how I keep my work and my personal life separate. That's how I prevent burnout. Weekends? That's personal time. Passion project time. That's when I work on the podcast, creative writing, scheduling social posts, things that feed my spirit. Those are my joy sparks. It's not always perfect, but it's a balance I've learned to protect between purpose and payment. We live in a society that tells us value is tied to productivity, and that productivity is only valid if it turns a profit. But money isn't the only marker of worth. I write to eat, to keep the lights on, to take care of my dog, to plan trips with my mom, to not feel like I'm barely surviving. I'm grateful I get to do that. But I'm also allowed to take up space, to rest, to write something just for me. And that's what being a freelancer, a writer, and a human really means to me. Let's talk about burnout. Not the buzzword, the real thing. The kind that seeps into your bones and makes even joy feel like a job. The kind where you're staring at a blinking cursor thinking, I have nothing else to give. The kind that doesn't just affect your work, but your health. And here's the thing no one tells you when you start freelancing, especially as a creative or a neurodivergent person. You can't build a sustainable life if you don't protect your bandwidth. And I'm not talking about internet here. So let's talk about boundaries. Not just the kind you set with clients, but the kind you set with yourself. Personal boundaries. Work hours are sacred. I don't check emails after 5. I don't write on weekends unless it's for me. Breaks are real breaks. If I take a walk, I don't bring work with me in my head. That's recovery time. And my body has limits. I'm autistic. My nervous system already runs hot. If I ignore my rhythms, I crash hard. Now there's professional boundaries. If a client DMs me on a Saturday, I don't answer until Monday. If a job asks for a 5-day delivery, but my schedule can't handle it, I say so. I don't apologize for protecting my peace or my pace. If a potential gig sounds like it'll suck the joy right out of me, I don't take it. Not worth the hit to my health. Absolutely not. And you know why this matters? These boundaries help me stay creative. They help me make space for the parts of my life that refill my cup. Like this podcast. Long walks, Skyrim Saturdays, and quiet mornings with my dog. They give me room to be a person, not just a content machine. And I know it's hard, especially if you've grown up being told that productivity equals worth, especially if you're autistic or have other forms of disabilities and have had to mask, push through, and people please your way to basic understanding and rock bottom respect. But here's the truth. You do not have to burn yourself up to keep the world warm. You're allowed to take breaks. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to protect your fire so that it doesn't go out. Writing isn't just a task. It's a relationship with your thoughts, your energy, your time, your tools, and every writer has their own rhythm. Some swear by morning pages and bulletproof coffee. Some write in bursts between caregiving, day jobs, or chronic fatigue. Some prep playlists, light a candle, and open the same document 500 times before the words finally flow. As for me, I start every morning around 7:30 or 8 a.m. The ritual itself is what matters most. It doesn't matter whether I'm diving into client work or a creative piece from the Dreamspace. The process helps me ease into the mindset that I need. I wake, handle the basics, then head downstairs for coffee and breakfast. This morning, avocado toast with everything but the bagel seasoning. A classic. Once fed and caffeinated, I get dressed and ready for the day. Then I walk my old man, my heart, my dog, Monet. We often walk our usual route through the local park, Sniffari style, and I make sure he's cared for before I head to my desk. Most days, he flops nearby for his nap while I work. From there, I settle in, check emails, respond to client messages on Upwork, and review what needs to be done. Some days are packed with 1,500-word articles about nursing homes, SEO tweaks, keywords, tone shifts, sentence restructuring, the usual freelancer grind. Other days are lighter. I might send proposals, polish my portfolio, or, when the stars align, focus on passion projects. This podcast is one of them. I break for lunch around midday. I take it seriously, a full hour to decompress, eat something satisfying, and reset before returning for the afternoon shift. And after that, I either finish client work or dive deeper into personal writing projects. However, at 5 p.m. sharp, the work-based browser tabs close and I walk away. I cook dinner, take Monet for a second walk if he's up for it, and then curl up for the night. A good book, a cozy bed, and a sleeping dog beside me. That's how the day ends. This schedule helps me maintain a sustainable balance. It gives me the structure I need to be both productive and mentally healthy. As an autistic writer, I get overwhelmed easily, and a reliable routine helps me reduce stress, avoid burnout, and stay functional without tipping into meltdown territory. Productivity for me isn't about hustle culture. It's about creating a life I can actually live in, where writing is a joy, not a punishment. And that starts with boundaries and rhythm. So I want to ask you, what's your ritual? How do you prep your creative space, physically, emotionally, energetically? What keeps you coming back to the page, even on the hard days? Do you have a go-to tool, playlist, or tradition that grounds your writing practice? Whether you're a poet, copywriter, daydreamer, or someone scribbling ideas on napkins between shifts, your process is valid. And it might just spark something in someone else. If you're listening and feel moved, send us a message, drop a comment, write back. Tell us how you write. We might just share your note in a future episode. Because this dispatch isn't one way. It's a conversation. And in the Dreamspace, every voice matters. Sometimes the work of writing is about rhythm, and sometimes it's about remembering why we write at all. Not just for clients or clicks or checklists, but for ourselves. For the part of us that needs to say something, even if no one else hears it. And sometimes a little voice from the rafters reminds us of just that. It's now time for a letter from our favorite Dreamspace courier, Thimble. She writes, "Dear listener, I've been thinking a lot about what it means to carry so many names at once. Writer, freelancer, human, breadwinner, dreamer, deadline dodger, hope holder. We wear these titles like buttons on a coat, sometimes proud, sometimes fraying at the edges, sometimes wondering if we've buttoned ourselves into the wrong shape altogether. But here's what I want to tell you. From one little raccoon courier to another brave traveler on this creative path, you are allowed to be more than what you produce. You are not your invoice count. You are not your inbox backlog. You are not your toughest client's feedback. You are a body and a brain and a heart and a breath. And all of those need tending. So if you're tired, I believe you. If you're trying, I see you. If you're writing, even in the margins, I'll carry your words like lanterns. Take breaks. Drink water. Let the story bloom slowly, if it needs to. Your flame doesn't need to be a bonfire to be real. And if you need me, I'll be right here, perched in the rafters, nibbling a raspberry, and reading your postcards to the stars, with soft paws and ink-smudged affection, Thimble. After Thimble's gentle reminder that we are more than our output, let's turn now to a reflection, a ritual really, a glimpse into the sacred caffeinated chaos that so many writers know intimately. Today's offering from the writer's window is called the Coffee Oracle. For those who write with a mug in hand and a prayer in their heart, this one is for you. The Coffee Oracle, divination through caffeine and chaos. You approached the altar again this morning, bleary-eyed, underslept, betrayed by your body and the passage of time. The Coffee Oracle was waiting. She always is. You did not offer cream. You did not offer sugar. You approached with the raw, bitter truth. The Oracle sees this. She nods. Ah, she says, steam curling like prophecy. It is one of those days. No flavors, no indulgence, no illusions. This is the sacred rite of just get me through this. Known in ancient texts as raw dogging the morning. The Coffee Oracle does not judge, but she does observe. You brew in silence, you do not speak. She does not need words, she knows. You have faced the algorithm, she whispers, and you have returned, broken, but intact. You pour, no sugar, no cream. Not even a sprinkle of cinnamon to pretend that you're coping. This isn't a drink. This is a summoning. They call it coffee. You know it by its true name, liquid perseverance. The ritual is complete. You take the first sip. Your ancestors cheer, the gods wince, and somewhere a startup collapses. You are awake now, but at what cost? The Oracle is silent, but her gaze follows you through the day, and lo, the Oracle speaks not in thunder, but in tasting notes. She names your chosen vessel and reads the future in foam. Black coffee. You have abandoned hope of comfort. You seek only function. You are not here to be liked. You are here to endure. The Oracle bows to your raw conviction. Espresso. You are one heartbeat away from launching a business, burning a bridge, or joining a revolutionary commune. The Oracle cannot tell which. Neither can you. That's the fun of it. Cold brew. Your trauma has steeped for 12 hours. It is now drinkable. You pretend to be unbothered, but you're wearing sunglasses indoors. The Oracle nods. You are one of her favorites. Latte with oat milk. You still believe in softness. You think cinnamon is a valid emotion. Your enemies call you naive, but the Oracle sees your strength. Let them underestimate you. Pumpkin spice latte. You wield chaos in a reusable cup. You know how to organize a book club and a blood pact. Your Oracle respects your seasonal power. Autumn is your battleground. $8 pour over. You think deeply about everything except your financial choices. You read philosophy and Yelp reviews with equal intensity. The Oracle admires your devotion to self-sabotage and artisanal bitterness. Decaf. You are either enlightened or lying to yourself. The Oracle is watching very closely. Drink deeply, mortal. The day awaits. The Oracle returns to her steam and silence until tomorrow, when you seek her wisdom again. The Oracle returns to her steam and silence, and we do too. We must begin to close the page on today's dispatch. Whether you're raw dogging the morning, riding the latte high, or sipping slowly on something herbal, may your cup be full, your boundaries strong, and your spark ready. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of the Dreamspace Dispatch, but until then, write when you can, rest when you need to, and always, always return to the story. Take care out there, and if you see Thimble on your windowsill, leave her a little raspberry, just for me. Bye. Thanks for spending a little time in the dream space with me today. If you liked what you heard, you can find more writing, creative, reflective, and professional on Substack at Nicole Myers FLW, all one word, or support the work over on Coffee. If you're walking through something hard right now, I hope you find rest. If you're writing something beautiful, I hope it reaches the hands that need it. So until next time, stay warm, stay weird, and keep the lantern lit.